Hey, welcome back. Glad you could make it. Inside where it's a lot warmer, and yep, we got that hot coffee on again. Uh, Cream, real cream. We got some milk if you want it, sugar, brown and white, whatever you please. Keep you nice and comfy on this cool day. Well, just want to do a quick follow up to my last one. I was talking about getting bold and doing some trimming, and give a few tips on what you can do to aid in your trimming, make it easier, more foolproof sort of thing. And well, one of the comments that was made in my last video was a pretty good one, and I should mention I happen to know who it is, and they are actually a professional trimmer with lots of experience, and they know what they're talking about. And they made some good suggestions. And although one I don't 100% agree with in a way, but yeah, well, they said not everybody is made out to do it because to be really good at it, it does require a certain bit of a knack to, you have to have an eye for the symmetry of it and that sort of thing. And there is some truth to that. It's not for everybody, but I think most people can probably do it well enough to do a maintenance trim if they use a few precautions. And well, they mentioned how a two-dimensional picture is not a three-dimensional, the same as it's not the same as a three-dimensional image. That's a fact. I agree with that. But part of the reason that I recommended taking pictures and using them is because you can blow them up much bigger than a real hoof, so you can see all the detail and that sort of thing. And it is quite helpful because they also mentioned it's not the same as when you get this hoof squirming around in your hand if the horse doesn't want to stand still for you. Now, again, that's a fact. It's very hard to really see what you're doing when they're moving around. And, well, again, that's why I recommend the pictures because, it's really hard to focus on what you got in your hand when it's moving around and get a good look at the angles and everything else. And that's where, again, the plywood, to give you a base to put the horse's hoof on. Gives you a better idea of the angles, whether or not you got them right, that sort of thing. And so I still stand by that one. I think taking pictures and blowing them up big, taking a good look at them can really be helpful. And they made a comment, a suggestion I didn't think of, but it goes right along with what I said about being conservative, not taking too much. They suggested don't even use nippers. I suggested not using the knife. They took it as far as saying don't even use a nipper. And I've actually heard of people doing this, and it's not a bad idea. And what you do is you get somebody to come trim your horse, and within a couple of weeks, long before they're due for a trim again, you get the rasp out, just the rasp and nothing else, and you actually take a little bit off. And by taking a good look at that hoof when it's first trimmed by a professional, you get a good idea what it's supposed to look at. And if you don't wait too long, you can take enough off with a rasp to bring it back down to where it should be. And by doing it frequently with a rasp, you actually never have to use the nippers. It's a little more work. A nipper can, take a lot more off than a rasp will. A rasp takes a while to do, but in fact, yes, if you do it often, a rasp is the only tool you need. And their suggestion was, when the professional trims your horse, see what you got. Well, they didn't mention that part. I'm going to throw that in. Take a good look at it. Then take pictures of it, whatever it takes, so you know what it's supposed to look like. You get a good idea just how short it should be and what kind of curve and symmetry it should have. And then you can go at it with a rasp shortly after when it starts to grow back a little bit and maintain that shape with your rasp. And, do it every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. Share a little story. A guy shared with me, and he was, again, a professional trimmer. And on one of his personal horses that he rode quite often, almost daily, I guess, from the sounds of things, he had a small little pouch on the saddle that he kept this little miniature rasp in. It wasn't a full-size one. And every single time that he cleaned the horse's feet before he went riding, he would also take that little rasp and take a tiny bit off the hoofs. And he said he never, ever had to use nippers on that horse, ever. Because he just maintained the amount of wear that a horse that gets in nature with a natural amount of movement. The hooves wear down. That's why wild horses don't need trimmers, because they move enough that the hooves wear down. And you can imitate that same thing with a rasp. If you do it often enough, that's the only tool you actually need. And that's a brilliant thing. And you're going to have a hard time, if you stay above the sole, like I said, when it first gets trimmed, take a good look at how long it is. And if you maintain that length with your rasp, you got her made. That's a great way of doing it. So, like I said, comment in that last one, that was a professional. They do it for a living. They know what they're talking about. They get far more experience than I do. And, that's the kind of people you want to consult with if you have any questions. Don't be scared to ask, even if you got to pay them for the information. I actually had one guy come out one time because I had a little bit of an issue that I was concerned about. Wasn't quite sure what to do about it. And he refused to take my money. He offered advice for free and wouldn't even take my money. I was kind of surprised. I thought he deserved it. He drove out of his way to get here. I know where the guy lives. It was a fair ways away, and at least he should have taken enough money to pay for the gas, but he wouldn't do that either. Well, maybe he had some work in the area that compensated for that. I don't know, but either way, there's some suggestions. Like I said, be conservative, and on that note, the suggestion that other person made in their comment, I thought that was a great one. Don't even need nippers. And I think you can get rasps even cheaper than they are around here. Around here, they're about $50. You might get them cheaper than that, I'm sure. And if that's all you use, and you do it often, well, that's all you'll ever need. So there you go. Another little tip. I still think the pictures are a great idea. But again, like they said, a picture is two-dimensional. It's not the same as a three-dimensional hoof in front of you. Some people do not have the knack for that symmetry, and it's like anything in life. Some people are good at it, some people are mediocre, and some people probably shouldn't do it at all. And, well, there's probably going to be a few of you out there that just, maybe you shouldn't trim. Maybe you should never do your own horses, but I don't think there's too many people that are really that bad that they shouldn't touch them at all. And so get brave, get bold, take a chance, and try it. Give it a whirl. Just be careful. Don't do too much. You can always go back and take a little more. And like I said, be conservative. And as Granny Horse Training suggested, just a rasp, not even nippers. Take it a step further yet than what I suggested. That's a great thing, I think. And, you're not going to ever take too much with just a rasp. That'd be way too much work. Problem solved. Have a good day.